Have you ever wondered why so many people, even those who seem perfectly healthy in their 70s, don't make it past their mid-80s? It's a question that quietly lingers in the minds of many older adults who want to live longer, stay strong, and keep their independence for as long as possible. Maybe you're eating well, seeing your doctor regularly, and taking your medications just as you should. Yet, despite all that, the years sometimes slip away faster than expected. What if the biggest threats to your longevity aren't sudden illnesses or accidents, but the small habits you either do or don't do every single day? These little choices, often overlooked, quietly wear down your body and mind over time, slowly but surely, and you might not even notice until it's too late. In this video, we're going to explore 5 common mistakes that many people make unknowingly. Mistakes that seriously reduce their chances of living past 85. More importantly, we'll talk about simple, practical changes you can start today to protect your health, sharpen your mind, and add not just years, but quality to your life. If you want to truly make the most of your golden years, this is the conversation you don't want to miss. If you are not subscribed, subscribe and activate the notification bell so you don't miss any videos. If you like the topic of this video, please comment 1. If you don't, please comment 0 to let me know how I can improve and make better videos for you. Now, let's begin. Mistake 1. Ignoring everyday movement. Most people don't realize how quietly the body changes with age. Not always with big dramatic events, but in those tiny shifts you barely notice. For years, there's been this myth floating around that unless you're hitting the gym or following some fancy workout routine, your movement doesn't matter much. Maybe it's something we picked up from TV commercials or all those get fit quick programs, where everyone's lifting weights, jogging, sweating buckets. But the truth is, for people past 65, it's not the intense exercise that keeps you going. It's the everyday movement that holds the key to living longer and feeling better. Think about your day, the simple acts: walking to the mailbox, standing while chatting on the phone, reaching up for a mug in the kitchen, bending to pull a stubborn weed in the garden. These things sound small, even trivial. But they're anything but. For the human body, especially as the years stack up, motion is lotion. Every little action keeps joints from stiffening, muscles from wasting, and balance from fading. Yet, this is the first thing most people start letting go of, often without realizing it. Maybe you used to walk the dog twice a day, but now you skip the evening walk. Maybe you used to climb the stairs just to grab something from upstairs, but now you leave it for later, or ask someone else to do it. I'll sit a little longer, rest my feet, you tell yourself. And that's how it starts. Walter, a retired bus driver from a small Iowa town, is someone I think about often when it comes to this topic. He spent decades behind the wheel, alert and active, greeting neighbors and dropping off children at school every morning. But after retirement, with no more fixed schedule and no real reason to move about, things changed. At first, it was subtle. He'd read his newspaper a bit longer, take breakfast a little later, nap in the afternoon. He hardly noticed how long he'd sit watching TV. Sometimes, 2 hours would pass before he realized he hadn't moved from his recliner. He chalked up his growing stiffness and fatigue to just getting older. It wasn't until he slipped one morning getting out of bed, landing hard on his knee, that he started to worry. His daughter, worried about his recovery, brought him to the doctor, who said gently but firmly, "Walter, your strength is fading faster than your age says it should." For Walter, that was a wake-up call. But what was he supposed to do? He wasn't interested in joining a gym full of strangers or signing up for a Zumba class. The very thought of complicated routines and intimidating equipment made him anxious. What changed his life wasn't a gym membership. It was a new rule for himself. Never sit for more than 30 minutes without getting up, even if just to stretch, walk across the room, or lift his legs a few times by the kitchen sink. At first, it felt silly, even a little pointless. But within weeks, his body started to change. He felt less stiff. His energy crept back, and his balance improved. The sense of independence he'd started to mourn returned, quietly but surely. After 6 months, Walter felt 5 years younger, not because he was working harder, but simply because he was moving more. This story isn't unique. It's a pattern seen across America, in every town and city, wherever older adults start to withdraw from daily movement. There's a subtle but dangerous mindset that creeps in as we age. The idea that slowing down is inevitable, that it's normal to take it easy, because, after all, you've earned it. To some extent, that's true. But it's a slippery slope. Slowing down is natural. Inactivity is not. When you stop moving, little by little, day by day, your body notices. Muscles shrink, joints stiffen, and your balance starts to falter. The truly insidious part is that it often happens so slowly, you don't notice until it's too late. One day, you realize you're too tired to even get dressed in the morning, or worse, you've suffered a fall that leaves you scared to move at all. The decline into frailty rarely happens with a dramatic bang. It sneaks up quietly, like a whisper you can't quite hear, until suddenly your life looks and feels much smaller. And it isn't just physical health that's at stake. Movement is deeply connected to your mind and emotions too. When you get up and walk around, blood pumps to your brain, nourishing it and keeping you sharp. Your mood lifts thanks to natural chemicals your body releases. Your digestion gets a boost, and your bones stay stronger. Even your lungs benefit. When movement stops, all these vital processes start to slow down. It's almost as if your brain and body decide, well, I guess we're not needed much anymore, and everything begins to wind down. Scientific research backs this up. One powerful study found that simply standing and moving around for 3 minutes every half hour reduced the risk of dying early by more than 30%. Think about that for a moment. Not running marathons, not lifting heavy weights, but just moving around regularly. Yet most people underestimate the power of these small, gentle movements. They think if they're not sweating, it doesn't count. That's simply not true. For many, the barriers to movement aren't just physical, they're psychological. Maybe you remember being stronger, faster, and more capable, and now you feel embarrassed or frustrated by what you can't do. Maybe you worry about falling or hurting yourself. Those are real concerns, but the answer isn't to stop moving, it's to move wisely and move often. Your longevity doesn't belong to the strongest or the youngest, but to those who keep showing up day after day, no matter how small the effort. Another important point: everyday movement also preserves your independence. The ability to reach for things, stand up, dress yourself, get in and out of the shower, walk across a parking lot. These are the tasks that let you stay in your own home, live on your terms, and make your own choices. When you give up these little actions, you start surrendering pieces of your freedom. The tragedy is, most people don't realize this until they've already lost it. So, what can you do to make sure you're not quietly slipping into a life that grows smaller with each passing year? Start by changing your mindset. See movement as an essential part of life, not a chore or an afterthought. Create tiny habits. Stand up during commercial breaks, walk to the mailbox every day, do a few leg lifts while waiting for your coffee to brew. If you're on the phone, try standing instead of sitting. If you're able, stretch gently in the morning and before bed. Celebrate these small victories. They matter more than you know. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 1 below to let me know that you are still here with me. If you live with a partner, encourage each other to move together. Take short walks after dinner, do light chores side by side, or simply remind each other to stand and stretch. If you live alone, set reminders on your phone or leave sticky notes around the house as little nudges. And don't discount the power of walking. A gentle walk around your block is one of the simplest, most effective forms of exercise at any age. Don't be afraid to adapt activities to fit your body. If your knees ache, try chair exercises. If you're worried about balance, use a countertop for support. There are countless videos and community resources with simple, safe movements for seniors. Many libraries and senior centers offer free classes or DVDs. The key is to keep moving, however you can. And if you ever feel discouraged or overwhelmed, remember Walter's story. He didn't set out to become an athlete. He just decided he wasn't going to let his body write the ending of his story without a fight. Every step, every stretch, every small action added up. He reclaimed his strength, his confidence, and his joy simply by refusing to sit still for too long. Your story is still being written, too. No matter your age, you have the power to shape the days ahead with the choices you make, one gentle movement at a time. The journey to 85 and beyond doesn't demand perfection. It asks for persistence, for kindness to your body, and for faith in the power of small, consistent action. So today, as you read these words, ask yourself, when was the last time you got up and moved? Could you take a walk right now, even just down the hall or out to your porch? Could you reach, stretch, or stand while you chat with a loved one on the phone? Your body is always listening, always ready to respond to the smallest invitations to move. Don't let those invitations pass you by. Every step, every stretch, every bit of motion is a promise to yourself. A promise to stay here, to stay strong, and to keep writing the story of your life one day, one movement at a time. Mistake 2. Skipping preventive health checks. As we get older, there's a sneaky danger that creeps in. Not the kind that comes with sirens or dramatic emergencies, but the kind that wears soft slippers and slips by unnoticed. It's the danger of letting "I feel fine" become a reason to skip those regular checkups and screenings that might seem inconvenient, uncomfortable, or even unnecessary. For so many Americans over 65, it's easy to believe that if nothing hurts, there's nothing wrong. But if you've ever known someone who seemed the picture of health one year and then fell seriously ill the next, you know how quickly things can change. The truth is, some of the most life-threatening conditions give no early warning at all. Take Evelyn, for example, a sprightly grandmother from Ohio, always quick with a joke at family gatherings and never one to complain. At 72, she was sure she was doing everything right. She ate reasonably well, kept busy with her quilting group, and only took her blood pressure medication when she remembered. "I just get a little tired sometimes, that's all," she'd tell her daughter. But it was her daughter's quiet insistence. "Mom, just go in for a full checkup, for my peace of mind," that nudged her into the doctor's office one gray autumn morning. What they discovered came as a shock. Evelyn's blood sugar was sky high, and she was on the cusp of diabetes. No pain, no symptom she recognized, just a silent process that, left alone, could have led to a stroke, blindness, or even worse. Thankfully, because they caught it early, Evelyn didn't need to spend weeks in a hospital or start on a cocktail of new medications. Instead, she changed her breakfast routine, traded out her afternoon cookies for a brisk walk around the block, and within months, her blood sugar dropped back into a healthy range. She felt more energetic, slept better, and realized that her "just a little tired" was a warning sign she'd been missing all along. But what if her daughter hadn't pushed? How many people like Evelyn are out there, thinking a little fatigue is just a normal part of aging, not realizing it's the first whisper of something more serious? This is the heart of the second silent mistake that shortens too many lives: skipping preventive health checks. It's a mistake rooted in fear, inconvenience, and sometimes just plain habit. After all, who enjoys sitting in a waiting room, filling out paperwork, or hearing about cholesterol and blood pressure? It's far more comfortable to stay home, watch the morning news, and hope that no news is good news. For some, there's even a hidden fear. Fear of bad results, fear of being told to change old habits, or fear that a simple visit might uncover something terrifying. But the cruel truth is, what you don't know can hurt you. In the quiet world of medicine, many of the deadliest conditions, high blood pressure, diabetes, colon cancer, prostate cancer, grow silently for years, sometimes decades, without any pain or obvious symptoms. High blood pressure can quietly damage your heart, your kidneys, and even your eyesight, all while you feel perfectly normal. Colon polyps might develop for years before causing any discomfort. Prostate problems can creep up so slowly that they're only noticed when it's too late for an easy fix. When these issues are finally discovered in the emergency room or during a crisis, the options are fewer, and the recovery is longer and harder. It's like driving your car cross-country and never checking the oil. Everything seems fine, until one day, the engine seizes up, and you're stranded on the side of the road wishing you'd made that quick pit stop. Our bodies are the same. They give us subtle signals, but we have to be willing to listen. But why do so many older adults skip their preventive health checks? The reasons are as personal as the people themselves. Some are haunted by bad memories of earlier doctor visits. Others don't want to feel like a burden or simply believe, at my age, what's the point? There's the fear of being judged for their weight or lifestyle, or the quiet hope that if they ignore a problem, it might just go away on its own. Sometimes, it's just a matter of not wanting to be reminded that time is moving forward, that the body they've relied on all these years needs more care now than ever before. Yet, embracing these checkups is one of the most loving things you can do for yourself and your family. Because preventive care isn't just about catching diseases early, it's about taking control of your own story. When you go for that yearly physical, get your blood pressure checked, or schedule that colonoscopy, you're not just ticking off boxes on a to-do list. You're building a safety net, a set of guardrails that keep you steady even when life throws a curveball. Screenings like mammograms, blood pressure checks, prostate exams, and colonoscopies aren't just medical formalities, they're life-saving tools. They catch problems when they're small and manageable. A tiny spot on an X-ray today is much easier to treat than a tumor discovered after symptoms appear. A slightly high blood sugar level can be reversed with simple changes, but uncontrolled diabetes can take away your eyesight or your independence. There's another side to preventive health checks, too. One that's less about disease and more about peace of mind. When you know your numbers, when you have a doctor who understands your history and helps you build a plan for your health, you sleep better at night. There's less worry, less what if, and more confidence that you're doing everything you can to stay strong for as long as possible. And that confidence ripples outward. People who stay on top of their checkups often make healthier choices, move more, eat better, and manage their stress with greater ease. Let's not forget the emotional impact. There's power in facing our fears. The bravest thing you can do is walk into that appointment, ask the hard questions, and listen to the answers. Knowledge is power. When you know what's going on inside your body, you can make choices about food, activity, medication, and more that stack the odds in your favor. It's not about seeking out problems, but about being prepared and proactive, so you have more good days, more family gatherings, more years of watching grandkids grow. For those who struggle with anxiety about medical visits, try reframing them. Instead of something to dread, see them as an investment in your freedom and independence. Bring a friend or family member for support. Make it a habit to reward yourself afterward. Maybe a cup of coffee at your favorite diner, a stroll in the park, or a call with someone you love. Remember, you're not alone. Millions of Americans are facing the same worries, the same choices. What sets apart those who thrive into their 80s and beyond is often as simple as not skipping those checkups. And if you're thinking, I'm too old for this to matter, remember, there's no expiration date on prevention. Studies show that even people in their 80s and 90s benefit from catching and treating issues early. Every day you invest in your health is a day you gain in independence, in memory making, and in living on your terms. Think back to Evelyn. That one checkup changed her life, not because she was forced to become someone she wasn't, but because she was empowered to take small, meaningful steps. The life she's living now, more energetic, more present with her grandchildren, more confident in her days, came from a single moment of courage, a willingness to face what she didn't know, and turn it into action. The same opportunity is there for each of us. Aging isn't about waiting for the next crisis. It's about writing your own story, one page, one checkup at a time. Take that step. Make the appointment. Ask the questions. Embrace the knowledge. and give yourself the chance not just to live longer, but to live better. Your future self, and everyone who loves you, will thank you. Mistake 3. Isolating yourself from others. There's a particular kind of silence that can settle into a home after retirement, after the kids have moved out, or after the loss of a spouse or friends. At first, it may feel peaceful, a chance to rest, enjoy your own company, and finally set your own pace. But over time, that gentle quiet can turn heavy, pressing in on the edges of your days and making the world feel just a little bit smaller. What so many people don't realize is that this quiet, this self-imposed isolation, can be just as dangerous to your health as high blood pressure or heart disease. In America, we often talk about the importance of being self-sufficient, of handling things on our own, and of not bothering others. For people over 65, this independence can become a double-edged sword. It's easy to slip into a routine where you see fewer people, go out less, and slowly stop reaching out to friends and family. Sometimes it happens after a spouse passes away, when each day feels a little less bright, and the energy it takes to get dressed and meet others feels like more than you can manage. Sometimes it's a slow drift. Friends move away, neighbors you knew for years relocate or pass on, and before you know it, your social world has quietly unraveled. For George, a retired mechanic from Arizona, the silence crept in slowly. After his wife died, he found himself filling the days with small chores, sweeping the porch, watering the tomato plants, watching old westerns on TV. He told himself he was fine, that he was just adjusting, but the phone calls dwindled and the laughter that once filled his house faded away. Some days, the only person he spoke to was the mailman. As months turned into years, George's energy slipped. He stopped shaving as often, lost weight he couldn't afford to lose, and felt aches in his joints that seemed to get worse with every passing week. It was as if his body knew something was missing, but he couldn't put his finger on what it was. What George didn't realize is that loneliness and isolation aren't just emotional burdens. They're physical ones, too. Modern science has shown that chronic loneliness can raise your risk of early death by as much as 26 to 45%. It's as serious a risk factor as smoking or obesity. Being alone for long stretches disrupts your sleep, weakens your immune system, raises your blood pressure, and can even increase your risk for dementia and depression. Your brain is wired for connection. When it's deprived, everything from your mood to your memory begins to suffer. But the most painful part about loneliness is how invisible it is. Friends and family may assume you're doing fine. You may even tell yourself you're fine. After all, you've made it through tougher times, and you don't want to seem needy or dependent. You might think, I don't want to be a burden, or they're busy with their own lives. And so you stay home, declining invitations, hesitating before picking up the phone, and the circle of your world quietly contracts. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 2 below to let me know that you are still here with me. For George, the turning point came most unexpectedly. One chilly Tuesday, his neighbor, a cheerful woman named Linda who volunteered at the community center, knocked on his door and invited him to join a weekly coffee group. George hesitated. The thought of making small talk with strangers seemed exhausting. But Linda persisted, and the next week, he found himself sitting at a table with half a dozen other seniors, sipping weak coffee and listening to stories about gardening, grandchildren, and old road trips. Something shifted in George that day. The laughter around the table was genuine. People remembered his name, asked about his tomatoes, and even teased him for his taste in movies. He started looking forward to those Tuesday mornings. Over time, his mood lifted, his appetite returned, and his joints, while still stiff, seemed more manageable. He even found himself reaching for the razor more often, wanting to look presentable for his new friends. It's easy to underestimate the power of social connection. You don't need to be the life of the party or fill your calendar with events. What matters is having real, meaningful interactions. A conversation with a neighbor, a phone call with your sister, a visit with your grandchildren, or a shared activity like a book club, church group, or walking partner. These small acts of connection give structure to your days and remind you that you matter, that your presence makes a difference in the world. Of course, reaching out isn't always easy. Maybe you're grieving a loss or dealing with physical limitations that make it harder to get out. Maybe you're shy, or you worry you've lost your old social skills. These are real challenges, but the risk of doing nothing is greater. Studies have shown that seniors who make the effort to maintain even a small circle of friends live longer, happier lives. They recover from illness more quickly, are less likely to experience depression, and even have better memory and cognitive skills. If you find yourself feeling distant or withdrawn, remember, you don't have to wait for someone else to make the first move. You can be your advocate for connection. Start small. Call an old friend just to say hello. Smile at a neighbor or chat with the cashier at the grocery store. If you're able, volunteer for a cause that matters to you. Even a few hours a month can bring new people into your life and give you a sense of purpose. Sometimes, the best connections happen when you least expect them. Marilyn, a retired nurse from Illinois, had always been shy. After her husband passed away, she barely left her house except for doctor's appointments. But one rainy afternoon, her granddaughter asked her to help sew costumes for the school play. Marilyn hesitated, unsure if she still remembered how, but she agreed. Sitting around the kitchen table with her granddaughter and a handful of other parents and grandparents, she found herself laughing at stories, sharing advice, and feeling a warmth she hadn't felt in years. That one afternoon was enough to remind her how good it felt to be needed, to belong. The truth is, when you withdraw from others, it's not just them who miss out on you. You miss out on yourself. In conversation, in laughter, in the act of sharing your stories and wisdom, you rediscover parts of yourself that might have gotten lost in the shuffle of life. You may not realize it, but your stories, your experience, and your presence are a gift. They can light up a room, inspire someone younger, or bring comfort to someone going through a hard time. Loneliness is a heavy burden, but it's not a life sentence. Even if your world feels small right now, even if you've lost people you loved or feel like you have nothing left to offer, there is always a way back. Connection is built one small act at a time. A phone call, a hello, a cup of coffee, a simple act of reaching out. It may take courage, and there may be days when it feels easier to stay home, but every effort you make is an investment in your health, your happiness, and your future. So if you're reading this and feeling the ache of loneliness, know that you're not alone. Some people would love to hear from you, who would be delighted to see your name on their caller ID, or to see your smile in a community center. Take that first step, no matter how small. You might be surprised by how much brighter the world can feel when you let others in and let yourself be seen. Your life, your story, and your heart still matter. Sometimes, all it takes is a single conversation to remind you of that. Don't let the silence grow thicker. Break it with laughter, with kindness, with a simple hello. The road to a longer, happier life starts with connection, and that next step is yours to take. Mistake 4. Ignoring chronic inflammation. It's easy to dismiss those little aches and stiffnesses as just part of getting older. Maybe your knees feel sore after a walk, or your fingers are a bit puffier in the morning. Perhaps your back feels tight, or you find yourself more tired than usual without a clear reason. You shrug it off as just aging and carry on. But what if those quiet complaints are your body's way of waving a red flag? What if, beneath the surface, something more serious is happening? A slow-burning fire that's quietly damaging your body and mind day after day. This hidden threat is called chronic inflammation. Unlike the sharp, sudden inflammation you get when you cut your finger or sprain your ankle, chronic inflammation is low-grade, persistent, and often goes unnoticed for years. It's your body stuck in a state of fight mode, where the immune system is constantly on alert, attacking not just invaders, but sometimes your healthy tissues. And over time, this ongoing battle can increase your risk for a whole host of serious conditions. Heart disease, Alzheimer's, diabetes, arthritis, and even certain cancers. Take Nancy, for example. She's a 73-year-old grandmother from Seattle who's lived a full, busy life. For years, she dealt with soreness in her joints, occasional brain fog, and a general sense of fatigue that she couldn't shake. Doctors told her it was normal aging, something she just had to accept. But Nancy wasn't ready to give up. After a thorough checkup, her doctor ran some tests that showed elevated markers of inflammation in her blood. Instead of immediately prescribing more pills, they talked about lifestyle changes, simple shifts in diet, movement, and stress management. Nancy started by cutting out ultra-processed foods that were fueling her inflammation, things like sugary snacks, fried foods, and processed meats. She replaced them with anti-inflammatory staples, leafy greens, fresh berries, turmeric tea, and wild-caught salmon twice a week. She committed to a daily 20-minute walk, rain or shine, and worked on getting better sleep and managing stress through mindfulness exercises. 3 months later, Nancy felt like a new woman. Her joint pain had eased, her mind was clearer, and she even noticed a lighter mood. She was no longer just surviving. She was thriving. Nancy's story is powerful because it shows how chronic inflammation doesn't just affect your body. It changes your brain chemistry too. When your body is inflamed, it can make you feel anxious, irritable, and depressed. That emotional weight often drives people further into isolation and fatigue, making the cycle even harder to break. It's like a storm that quietly brews inside, clouding your mind and draining your energy, pushing you toward an earlier decline than necessary. What makes chronic inflammation particularly dangerous is how sneaky it is. Unlike a broken bone or a sudden illness, it doesn't shout, it whispers. You might notice a bit of swelling here, a little stiffness there, or days when you just don't feel quite yourself. But those are easy to ignore or blame on getting older. Meanwhile, your body is quietly fighting a battle you can't see. The good news is you have far more power over inflammation than you might think. It starts with what you put on your plate. Foods rich in antioxidants and omega-3 fatty acids help put out the fire. Think of vibrant salads loaded with spinach, kale, and arugula. Think of handfuls of nuts and seeds, cups of green tea, and the deep red and blue hues of berries. These foods send a message to your body that you're not giving up, you're fighting back. Pair that with moderate, regular movement, even gentle stretching or a slow walk, and you're strengthening your body's defenses. Sleep and stress management also play starring roles. When you're well rested, your body repairs itself more efficiently. Chronic stress, on the other hand, is like pouring gasoline on the fire. Mindfulness practices, deep breathing, and even simple hobbies that bring joy and relaxation can all help keep that internal flame in check. There's also a powerful mindset that comes with taking control of inflammation. It's a shift from resignation to resilience, from surviving each day to embracing a life full of potential. Every healthy meal you prepare, every morning you choose to walk instead of sit, sends a signal not just to your body but to your spirit. I'm still here. I'm still fighting. I'm still choosing life. If you've been brushing off those aches, if you've been telling yourself it's just part of aging, maybe it's time to take another look. Talk to your doctor about inflammation markers, explore ways to change your diet and routine, and listen closely to what your body is trying to tell you. Chronic inflammation may be a quiet threat, but it's not unbeatable. Nancy's journey from discomfort to renewed vitality reminds us all that aging doesn't have to mean giving up. It can mean learning more, caring better, and living fuller. When you take the steps to reduce inflammation, you're not just easing symptoms, you're slowing aging at its root. And that's a gift that can transform your golden years into something truly vibrant and joyful. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 3 below to let me know that you are still here with me. So today, as you reflect on your health, consider this. What small change can you make to help your body fight inflammation? Maybe it's swapping a sugary snack for a handful of almonds. Maybe it's setting a timer to remind yourself to get up and stretch every hour. Maybe it's finally trying that turmeric tea recipe you saw online. Each step counts, each choice matters, and together they can help keep your body's fire burning bright, not raging out of control, but glowing warmly, fueling a longer, healthier, happier life. Remember, chronic inflammation is not just a physical challenge, it's a call to action. Your body is asking for help. And the sooner you answer, the more years and more life you can add to your journey. Mistake 5. Living without purpose. As the years pass, many of us find ourselves in a new chapter of life. The kids have grown and moved away, the daily grind of work has ended, and the once busy calendar begins to quiet down. At first, it can feel like a well-earned rest, a time to relax, reflect, and enjoy the fruits of a lifetime of labor. But for some, that quiet can turn into a strange kind of emptiness, a slow fading of the spark that once drove them forward. Living without purpose is one of the most overlooked threats to longevity. It's not just about staying busy or filling the hours. It's about having a reason to get up in the morning, a reason that lights up your mind, your heart, and even your body. When you wake up each day with a goal or a passion, even a small one, it gives you a reason to engage with the world and to keep moving forward. The science behind this is compelling. Researchers have found that people with a strong sense of purpose tend to live longer, healthier lives. They experience less depression, better cardiovascular health, and sharper cognitive function well into old age. Purpose isn't magic. It's biology and psychology working hand in hand. When you have something meaningful to look forward to, your brain releases dopamine and other feel-good chemicals that motivate you, strengthen your immune system, and protect your heart. Robert's story is a powerful example. At 78, after the loss of his wife, he found himself drifting through days that felt endless and gray. His routine shrank to eating what was easy, sleeping most of the day, and barely caring if he saw anyone at all. He described it as if someone had pulled the plug on his life. For a time, he just existed. No laughter, no smiles, no plans. But then came a turning point. His daughter asked him to help his grandson with a school project, whittling wood into simple shapes. Robert, a retired carpenter, hesitated at first but agreed. That small act of connection lit a spark inside him. Soon, the neighbor boy joined in, and the local church invited Robert to run a Saturday woodworking workshop for kids. Within months, Robert found himself waking up with pride and purpose again. His blood pressure improved, his energy rose, and he said he felt more alive than he had in years. Purpose doesn't have to be grand or overwhelming. It can be as simple as tending a garden, helping a neighbor, learning a new skill, or being the person your grandchildren can count on. It gives your days structure and rhythm. Without it, life can blur into monotony, and the body often follows the mind into decline. There's even a term for this phenomenon: existential frailty. When people lose their sense of meaning, their motivation drops, their immune system weakens, and they stop seeking out new experiences and connections. The result is a cascade of physical and mental decline that can be avoided. If you find yourself feeling like your best days are behind you or that life has lost its meaning, it's important to remember that purpose can change and evolve. It's not lost forever. It may just be hidden beneath grief, routine, or fear. The moment you reach for it again, your life begins anew. Many seniors find renewed purpose in small, everyday moments: a hobby, a volunteer opportunity, or simply sharing stories and wisdom with others. It's about finding what brings you joy now and allowing that to pull you forward. When you embrace this mindset, you don't just add years to your life, you add life to your years. So, if you're reading this and wondering where to start, ask yourself, what gives my life meaning today? It might be different from what it was 50 years ago, and that's okay. The important thing is to find something that motivates you, something that makes you want to get out of bed and greet the day. Your story isn't finished yet. There are still chapters to write, moments to savor, and connections to make. Living with purpose is the secret ingredient to a longer, richer life. It's never too late to find it, and once you do, you'll wonder how you ever lived without it. As we wrap up this conversation, it's clear that living a longer, healthier life isn't about luck or having the perfect genes. It's about the small, everyday choices we make. Choices that add up quietly but powerfully over time. Ignoring the gentle signals from our bodies, skipping those important health checkups, withdrawing from others, brushing off inflammation, or drifting through life without a sense of purpose. These are the mistakes that can quietly chip away at our years and the quality of those years. But here's the hopeful truth. None of these is inevitable. Every day is a new opportunity to turn things around. To stand up more, to keep moving, to embrace regular checkups, to reach out and reconnect, to nourish your body with healing foods, and to rediscover what makes your heart sing. Your story is still unfolding, and you hold the pen. I'd love to hear from you. What's one thing you've learned today that you want to bring into your life? Maybe it's committing to a short daily walk, scheduling that doctor's appointment you've been putting off, or reaching out to a friend you haven't spoken to in a while. Whatever it is, share it in the comments below. Your journey might just inspire someone else watching. If you found this video helpful, please like, share it with your loved ones, and subscribe to our channel. That way, you won't miss out on future conversations designed to inform and inspire you to live your best life at any age. Thank you for spending this time with me. Here's to your health, your happiness, and many more meaningful years ahead.